Welcome back to Crowd Control, where we take a look at everything going on in crowdfunding, what's coming up, what's running, maybe what's delivered.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. There's a lot, like we always say. We love crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a great tool for our hobby, and we're going to talk especially in this episode because we think there's some really interesting uses of crowdfunding happening right now.
Yeah, one in particular is starting this week if you're watching this today, the day we drop it, and that's the AEG expansion. I think they're calling it Extravaganza.
Expansion Extravaganza, the AEG Expansion Extravaganza.
So just to give you an idea what's going on here, they're taking 4 of their pretty classic games, Cubitos probably being the least of the classic.
That's one of the newer ones of this set,
it's one of the newer ones. But they've got Space Base, they've got Tiny Towns, they've got War Chest, and they've got Cubitos. And all of them are getting a new expansion, but they're running a campaign that lets you basically get anything and everything of those games. So you can get the base game, you can get all the previous expansions for 3 of them. Cubitos doesn't have one, but the other 3 games have 3 expansions already. I think.
AEG does really, they do a good job. They've always done a good job, I think, of recognizing their popular games and supporting those games with expansions. And like these games, like War Chest, Tiny Towns, like these games ask for expansions because there's just so many ways you can interact with the core gameplay. I haven't actually played Cubitos yet.
Neither have I.
But I assume it's kind of around the same thing. So like this idea of like, okay, we have a bunch of expansions coming out. Instead of just quietly dropping them and having them show up in retail, I think they're actually doing a good idea. Like, this is a good idea because you never know, I think, how well an expansion is going to do. And a lot of people criticize big companies sometimes for using crowdfunding, but I think when you've got 4 expansions coming out and you have no idea how many to print,
I think this
is a great way to figure that out.
I think it's a great idea. This is a great solution for them because, like Ryan was just saying, you can put all of these out there, get a little bit more attention than you would normally with an expansion at retail, unless it's like one singular game that's huge and you do expansions few and far between. But this is really good, and I don't remember all the specific price points, but they're giving discounts on a lot of those things all the way down the row. I do remember one, and then if you got all things Space Base, which is the original game, the expansions they've released thus far, and the new expansion, I want to say the total at the bottom of that was like $78.
Yeah, something like that, under 80,
And obviously Space Base isn't a $78 game, but that's a lot of content, particularly when you look at the retail price of all of those things to date.
Well, yeah, all this is coming at a discount from retail.
It's a significant discount.
This is not sponsored in any way, so we're not trying to sell you on this. No. I just think like these games are fun. They have their audiences. And I was actually looking at the extravaganza a little disappointed not to see Guild of Merchant Explorers on there. I am ready for a Guild of Merchant Explorers expansion.
That's true.
So if you're watching this right now, AEG, that's
maybe that's Extravaganza 2.0.
That's the one I want. So that's launching tomorrow. There's another one launching tomorrow that I wanted to talk about from This Way Games, and that is Ice. And this is a reprint they're doing. It's kind of a difficult story for them, but I wanted to talk about this game for a specific reason. I got to do a preview of this game. Didn't really influence the reason I'm doing this, but it was cool. It's this very cool idea of these magnetic boards. No pun intended. No pun intended. These magnetic boards, and you're stacking these tiles of ice, and you're kind of digging through the ice. Whatever. It was a fun-looking game, really good art style.
It's beautiful looking.
But it launched at the start of the pandemic, and they could not, I don't think, have anticipated the production cost, the shipping cost. So it's pretty late for delivery, and also they're just struggling with paying for the final production, paying for final shipping, as some people have done. The reason why I'm calling them out specifically, as opposed to some of these other companies, is because they haven't gotten a lot of hate for this.
They've handled it very well. They've been very transparent.
They've been more transparent than I think I've seen any board game publisher be with this entire process. Like they've known, okay, some of these prices were inflating beyond our control, so they actually went to their audience too, and a lot of people were very supportive. So they are re-releasing Ice. The expansions, the copies that they were going to set aside for retail, plus some expansion content, is going to all be put into this one Kickstarter. So if you did back the original Ice, you can go get some of the new stuff that they've added in. If you missed it, if you were waiting on retail, they're saying, please come, just back it instead of waiting for retail. It would just really help out the company. And again, they didn't ask us to do this or anything. I just noticed that there's a lot of companies that have been in a lot of trouble that have not been forthcoming. And you see what happens.
You've seen a range there. And again, I think this company, this is probably their only game, right?
Yeah.
So they're spending a lot of time, putting a lot of effort, making sure everyone has some of the bigger companies that have taken some heat, they've got a lot of things they're juggling. So show some compassion for all
Right.
of them. No one's out there, I don't think, really trying to steal anyone's money.
No, but I think this game was cool. I think it had a lot of potential. So again, I said cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to see it get out into people's hands, and I'd like to see them do well because this level of innovation of this idea, I'd like to see more games from them in the future. I don't necessarily want to see them shut down right now because of what happened with the pandemic.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous, big, deluxe game. On the other end of the spectrum, and this one has been running for a little bit, this one's called French Quarter. This is a small roll and write game from Motor City Games. This is Ben Pinchback and Matthew Riddle.
Geniuses when it comes to roll and writes.
If either of you are watching, please don't let that get to your heads. They
know how I feel.
They're friends of ours from some podcasts that we do together, but they have put together another big, thick, juicy, robust roll and write.
If you don't know Motor City Games,
it's a flip and write, right?
So this is the same group that brought us Three Sisters, and Fleet the Dice Game, and Motor City, which were all three very, very highly regarded roll and writes. This one does have dice.
Yeah, okay.
But I think there's cards in it too. I haven't played. This was when we haven't actually gotten the prototype.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the copy.
We're
going to reach out to them, see if we can get a copy, maybe get some gameplay up on the channel. But it is French Quarter.
Cool.
And it, I think, promises to be as robust as those other roll and writes.
Yeah, you're building up the French Quarter. You're rolling your dice. You're taking your dice. You're doing actions with the dice, just like you've done in a lot of their other games. I mean, there's so much complexity to their games, though, which is what I like about them. Some might say maybe too much complexity.
Maybe
when it comes to stuff like
there's some tracking issues with some of their games for me, anyway.
But these are like the ideal like combo. When you think of a roll and write where you're like, I get this and then this and then this and then this.
And that's where the tracking issues can come in, but they're so fun.
They're
combos,
so satisfying.
That's where you do fire off a lot of those.
When I saw this was coming, I was like, oh man, I want this game. I want to live stream it. I want to play it. I love their games. So that's on right now. It's attracting attention. They didn't advertise as much as maybe the last couple.
It probably deserves a little bit more attention. So if that at all floats your boat, go check it out for
That's
sure.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, the next one I want to talk about is not our usual cup of tea. I don't think it's normally what our audience plays, but that's Command of Nature.
Yeah.
Which, I'll be honest, there's been a long time with when Unstable Unicorns came out, and even when Here to Slay came out, that I kind of, I got on my professional gamer soapbox and looked down on these games a little bit, which was a huge mistake, honestly. Because all I hear about Here to Slay...
Such a gatekeeper, Ryan.
All I'm hearing about Here to Slay is how fun it is. Well, when you see a game like this that is mass market and it's this like cartoon art style, and it was Unstable Unicorns was one of those very light games, like a light party game, whatever. But they've progressively becoming more and more of a gamer's game company. Mm-hmm. And this one looks incredibly deep.
Yeah, this does look pretty deep. I will say the artwork is going to be one of those things for a lot of people that's either I love it or I hate it sort of thing. I wish more people were sort of in the middle of that spectrum.
I mean, I
like it. It's cute. It's adorable. This one, what's interesting about this campaign, I think there's a $39 entry.
Just the
base
game. The same mass market box you'll get,
and then it takes quite a bit of a jump up over 100 something.
Yeah, and I think the $100 it's like 119 maybe, something like that.
I want to say it's 119,
I'll
and then beyond that,
total.
there's the deluxe edition that comes with all sorts of stuff that I think is maybe 150 or something.
Yeah, the deluxe you get like play mats and deck boxes and
there's these nice vinyl minis and stuff like that.
There's a lot that comes with it, and that's the thing. I think that they deserve some recognition, even from like channels like us who might normally not cover a game like that, because they really are targeting both. They're like, if you just want to play a basic mass market target game, here you go. But if you want to get all into it and you want to get all the normal Kickstarter collectibles and special edition stuff, they've got that too.
Yeah, but with that said, we haven't played it, so maybe it's awful. Don't take our word for it.
I want to play it. I love deck building games.
We're just bringing it to light so you can take a look.
It looks like a lot of fun. So, we got one more thing to talk about before we do. We have another special guest. We like to do this every week. We like to bring in somebody to talk about crowdfunding. And today, we have a really good friend of ours, and that is Steph Hodge from All the Meeples of the Rainbow and BGG. You'll probably also recognize her as having maybe the world's largest board game collection.
I mean, she plays a lot of games, so listen up to what she says because she probably knows what she's talking about.
She's here to talk about some of her favorite games that have just delivered.
Hey everybody, I'm Steph, and I have been asked by Man vs. Meeple to do a quick take on Kickstarter games. Normally, I am not really backing a whole lot of Kickstarter games, but I end up previewing a lot of Kickstarter games. So recently, I've gotten several deliveries So I'm very excited to get in a few new plays of these new games. The first one is from 25th Century Games. It is Raw. Super excited for this amazing quality production of Raw. The colors are great. The box quality is great with all of the stuff. It's like super nice, and I'm sure we'll be seeing Raw hit the table a lot with this new production. So very excited to get that played. The next one I want to talk about is called Darwin's Journey. We've been waiting for this one for a while. I remember playing this when it first was on TTS and the Kickstarter was happening. Super loved it then. Loving it now with all of the actual table presence. So excited to get it to the table. Beautiful game. Deep Euro with tons of crunchy decisions and set collection elements. I think this, for any Euro fan out there, this is one to check out. The last one is from Paverson's Games. They have a new game called Distilled. Again, this is one I got to play in pre-production prototype phase when they were on Kickstarter. Super loved it then. Very excited for it now because of the amazing quality and just everything included. They've really bumped up the game a lot since I first played it. If you like the big management of resources to distill and get your alcohol, if you like that theme, this is one to check out. It's deep. There's a lot going on. Crunchy is what I'd like to say. So much, so fun. Definitely excited to play this finally, the final production. Worth checking out. If you like what I have to say, you can check out more of what I have to say over Board Gamer Steph or All the Meeples of the Rainbow. You can find me most places. I am everywhere. I play all the games is what I do. I would like to thank Man vs. Meeple for inviting me to do this segment with them. Super excited. Thank you guys.
Yeah, it's always fun to get a delivery. Yeah. I mean, I don't care what you're getting delivered. You can pair new shoes, but certainly when we get games on the front doorstep, it's fun. And in fact, we mentioned The Witcher a couple weeks ago as one that delivered here that we wanted to get played.
I think you've mentioned The Witcher once or twice.
We've gotten it played. We've done some content. I know if you're watching this and you're like typing already in the comments like, where's the gameplay? We're getting there.
I'll tell you what, we did a live stream the other day. We played Strike, which is not like The Witcher. And even in the Strike comments, people were like, where's the Witcher gameplay video?
Yeah.
So it'll come.
Strike and The Witcher have a lot of similarities.
They do.
They both come in a box.
So yeah, there's always great games delivering, of course.
Yeah, one last thing we want to talk about today is not a game. It is
really.
A book.
Well, not at all. It's a book.
No, it's a book from Adam Kwapinski, and this is on GameFound as well.
Yeah, this is called Board Games on My Mind. If you don't recognize that name, he is maybe one of the all-star developers right now. He did Nemesis, which was, I mean, that game is huge. They're still making new versions of Nemesis.
He's done a lot. He works with Awakened Realms. He's done some stuff with Board and Dice.
Yeah, he also did Frostpunk, which was not with Awakened Realms.
That's true, and Origins First Builders.
Yep.
The interesting thing about Adam is the breadth of his designs. I mean, you're talking about the same guy who did Nemesis, did Origins First Builders.
Right.
That's kind of crazy.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, he's widely considered to be a very smart guy, and so he wrote a book about his design process. So this is not necessarily an autobiography about him as much as it is a guide to how he approaches game design. If you're thinking about game design, if you're interested in game design, or even if you just appreciate the games that he's designed, this book is going to have a lot of insights and just an inside look at what it is to bring a game from that like creation step to reality. And I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, even if you're someone like me who doesn't read, generally
can't
speaking.
Read. No.
I can't read. No, the rule books are rough. No. I do read, but very rarely do I crack open a book. But this one, it is interesting. I want to take a look at this one just because I like books from the minds of game designers and things like that. Just to get, like we said, this is not an autobiography. It is really more of a just like brain dump from Adam Kwapinski about all sorts of things, including how he approaches game design.
Yeah, I like that. No, David does read. We read. But if you're in this
hobby, I'm reading this right now off of a teleprompter.
If you're in the hobby, you probably care about the hobby, so definitely take a look. Yeah, like you said, this one is on GameFound.
Yep.
So that's it. That's all we've got for today. That's a lot of games, though. A lot of stuff coming out.
It is a lot. It'd been a couple, like we said, it's a roller coaster. Some weeks are big, some weeks are little. This one's a pretty good-sized week.
Yeah, I think so.
So check us out next week. Hopefully, next week, if there's more things happening then.
June is a crowded month. I'll just tell you that right now.
Speaking of crowds, It is, because we've got to get back to playing some games and editing some videos. But we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.